Hello! We're live! Exciting. My name is Linus Karp.
And my name's Joseph Martin.
And together we are Awkward Productions, and we are here, well, at Buckingham Palace, as you can see.
As the Kings in Germany's very kindly lent us a spare room, so thank you, Charlie. It's lovely to be here.
It looks good.
It's a bit drafty, but it's all right.
And we are also somehow at Accidental Theatre in Belfast.
Through the magic of theatre.
Where we will be performing Diana, the Untold and Untrue story tomorrow and Saturday. From Saturday will also be streamed online to wherever you are in the world. And we're going to answer some of your questions.
Yeah, so you've been getting in touch throughout the day, asking us various bits and pieces about the show.
So do feel free to put them in the chat comments section or however you submit questions.
yeah, please, we'd love to hear from you. First question is, how was our trip? How was the trip over this morning, Linus? We've been awake since, was it 5:30?
Well, way too early. We're based in London. And yeah, we left London early this morning to come here. It was a bit eventful. We had some issues with some of the props for this show. And if you watch it over the weekend, you might find
see
out
what
why.
it is.
Even though we had sorted some things in advance, BA weren't too happy with some of them.
But that's okay.
We got
it resolved.
We got there in the end. So. And now it's wonderful to be back in Belfast. Joe's mum is from Belfast.
Yes. Hi, Mum. Hi, Linda.
Hi, Linda.
So it's lovely to be back here. Crucially, we've had a nap this afternoon.
Yeah.
So we're very refreshed and ready for the broadcast, because otherwise you'd have seen me looking basically like a zombie if we'd done this a couple of hours earlier.
Moderate the show.
Great. Thank you for that. I feel like we should talk a little bit about the actual show, what this is that we're here to do.
It's a good thing we have a question that says, who are you and what are you here for?
Wow.
So we are theatre makers. Oh, sorry. We are doing the show called Diana, the Untold and Untrue story, which is sort of a silly, queer show that combines drag, multimedia, puppetry, audience participation, and just a lot of silly, queer joy to create what I think is quite a unique celebration of the people's princess, the queen of our hearts, Diana.
Yeah, I think what this show does is... what we wanted to make it about was giving Diana the story that perhaps she didn't get, but that she deserves. We're giving her control of her own narrative, her own outline. Obviously, Diana's life did not go the way that it should have done, and we very much wanted to bring some joy and some celebration back into that, and look at the iconic things that she did do throughout her life.
Yeah. Exactly, to focus both on her, I mean, the stories we all know, but still keeping untrue as sort of a key word in the title. It's a different version of Diana's life than you've ever seen before. I would say a better version. And it's very much coming from a place of love.
Absolutely. We opened the show in November last year at the Pleasance Theatre in London, and we toured a little bit in December, and then we've been touring pretty solidly
most of this year.
Since February.
Which has been amazing. We've loved it, and we are very excited to come back to Belfast. We first came here last year with our previous show, which was called How to Live a Jellicle Life, Life Lessons from the 2019 hit
musical Cats.
God, I got the title wrong. Did anyone watch that? I hope so. And we had such a good time here at the venue.
Really good fun.
Great crowd in Belfast, and also such an amazing opportunity to actually stream the show, which is why we're back with Diana, to do it both live for the amazing Belfast audience here, and also streaming it to you, wherever you are in the world. You can watch live on Saturday, where you'll be able to interact with the show live and react to it live as it happens.
But don't worry if you don't catch it live on Saturday, because then the stream will be available on demand. So you'll still be able to get some Diana magic no matter where you are in the world.
Just make sure you do that before April is over, because you have a couple of weeks after the show has been on to actually watch it. So make sure you do that. But let's get some more questions answered.
Yes. What has been the weirdest thing to happen on tour? Good question.
I wonder. I mean, I think in York, we had an audience member actually cartwheel across the stage.
Oh, yeah.
That is probably incredible. Weird. And, I mean, I do say there's audience participation in the show. We don't expect that from you if you come in to see the show, although I also would welcome it if you're up for it.
Yep, absolutely, but that's your own risk.
Yeah. We haven't planned for that.
I think that's the joy of doing a show with audience interaction that ours has. And for those of you that maybe are a little bit kind of worried about audience interaction, I would say that ours is always on your side. You're part of the show. We're never trying to catch you out. Do you know what I mean? You make the show better, and because of that, you get so many weird and wonderful moments every night, because every night Linus on stage has a different supporting cast, if you like, and you never know quite what's going to happen. Just the other night, we had someone deliver an improvised line on stage from them, which was actually
giving away the plot of what was going to happen later. We're like, how did you know that?
So we just sort of went,
oh, we're that predictable. And I think that's fun. I think we create theatre. We want to create theatre that's not the kind of theatre where you can just sit back and watch the show like you could at a cinema. We want it to be a live experience where people experience it live, and they're not only watching the show, but they're part of the show. And we work to make sure that we can incorporate that even into the live streams. The people who are watching it live can be part of it as well.
I think when you make theatre as weird as ours, the weird things that happen don't actually feel that weird. They feel relatively normal. I think very little can throw us now when we do these kinds of shows.
That's true, and I think it's also because we have that level of audience participation. Every show is different, so every show is very exciting for us too.
And we want to we work hard to make sure that you as an audience feel really safe and happy and comfortable when you come to see one of our shows.
And I think what's been amazing is to see how the audience get behind those poor audience members who may or may not be dragged up onto stage, and they just cheer and laugh with them. And I think that was because there was always before we got the show open, you can't really rehearse those bits, so that was always a little bit of a fear. But then we saw how the audiences were just so behind each other, which was incredible.
Such a room full of joy every time we do a show. That's really our main aim. Okay, next question is from Matilda.
Hi, Matilda.
Hello. You're not afraid of controversial subjects in your shows. Do you draw the line anywhere, Linus Karp?
So we've had, this is our third show as a company. Obviously, this one is about Diana and I guess the monarchy. Our previous show, our first show was about bestiality, which obviously is a bit of a controversial subject.
It was about a lot more than that, but that was kind of the vehicle.
Was about Cats the musical, or the movie musical.
Very much a controversial subject.
Probably the most controversial subject we've had.
Yeah, very polarizing.
I think there are obviously certain things we wouldn't do on stage, but I think a lot of the time it's about how you approach a subject. Like we're never going for something to make it controversial or to deliberately do something that will like upset people. No. I mean, I think that's very the opposite. But I think it's exciting to do things that are new and bold, and give you, I guess, unusual or not things that have like thoughts and angles that you haven't seen before. I think that's what I enjoy.
I would say our work is not a typical night at the theatre. In that way that Linus was saying earlier, that you just kind of you sit back, you watch a thing, and then you leave. You know, we want you to feel involved and to feel like it's a live, real thing going on in front of you. To talk about it when you leave. You know,
we want it to be memorable.
Yeah, and everything that we do is done with love, and you know, sometimes it's in the best possible, worst possible taste, but it's always with love and affection and humour. So we don't deliberately go for controversial subjects. Sometimes those things happen, but you know, sometimes the best theatre is stuff that people see as controversial.
Well, I think controversial can be like a toxic word. Like I don't think that's what we're going for, and people can call it whatever they want to. I think we just want to do things that interest us, that seems exciting and like vibrant.
And we want people, especially queer people like ourselves, we're queer creatives, we want queer people and everyone to come and to feel safe and to have fun and to laugh and enjoy themselves. And I think, you know, that seems to be, not to blow our own trumpet, that seems to be what we're doing.
Yeah.
So
we have a question from a Linda Patterson. Who could that be?
Who could that be?
Linda Patterson is actually the reason that this show came to be.
Which is interesting because she's asked, how did the show come to be?
You should know by now, Linda. Linda is Joseph's mum. And if you don't know, Joe and I, we're not only creative partners, we're also life partners. And Linda turned...
An age.
She had a big birthday a little while ago. 30th maybe even 40th, I don't remember. And she... basically, she is a big Diana fan, and for years... I mean, I think Linda and I really bonded over like weird Diana memes. Like we were laughing together till we were crying over various memes. And since then, Joe and I were always sending her Diana gifts, like the weirdest, tackiest merch we could find online, whether that was wristwatches or busts that didn't really look like Diana at all, or like spoons, any kind of thing.
Yeah, commemorative spoon. I'd forgotten about that.
And then when she was turning her big birthday, I thought, I'm going to write something Diana themed for her. So I started writing this thing and realized I'm having quite a lot of fun with this. So at the beginning, it was just Diana talking to Linda.
And there were lots of supporting roles that we as a family. So my brother, my sister, my dad, my sister's boyfriend, we could all have a glass of wine and read it round the table.
And we had a laugh about it, and that was it for a while. And then when I was looking at what to do next, I thought, what about this script? Can we turn this into a solo show? Can we turn, instead of making it about Linda, can we have Diana speaking to the audience?
Exactly. So Linus, much as I love him, looked at this thing that he'd made for my mum and went, how can I make this more about myself?
Yeah,
and,
that's my style.
And now here we are touring the country, coming to my mother's home city with a show that was ultimately written for her birthday. So thanks, Mum, because you've been helping us pay the rent.
Yeah. Thank you, Linda. Your birthday present is touring the country and has reached your hometown. Isn't that exciting?
Our next question is from Kristen, who says, "Oh, okay, what's it like being creative and romantic partners?" I feel like maybe we'll have different answers to this.
I would say it's very difficult. It's awful. Don't do it.
Honestly, we get this question quite a lot from friends, from people who come to see our shows. We work very well together, and we're very lucky in that. And also, we do get along. We like hanging out with each other. We like being in each other's company. We bounce off each other very well. So, actually, I saw it as a very natural progression to happen. When Linus sort of created Awkward Productions in 2017 and effectively just said, I'm putting on this play, are you in? And obviously I'm there to help. So
I basically just force a lot of work onto Joe because I know that he will do them and won't complain too much. And I can get him to do the work of like 5-6 people without having to pay 5-6 people for it.
Exactly. I took one night off from the show in our first London run in November. We had 2 people cover my job, and they both said at the end that it needed at least another person. So that's quite nice. That makes me feel good. But again, honestly, this is the easiest thing in the world for me because I like hanging out with.
Well, we love being creative together. We love spending time together, and we work really well together. And I think we also, when we do these things, have clear roles. And sometimes, I can't say we can leave work at work because we can't.
Because work's at home.
But we also love the work.
Yeah, so. and also we do respect each other's boundaries. So, if one or the other of us starts talking work and the other can't, we'll just say, not right now.
And which is normally you saying not right now when me talking work.
Yeah, because I will wake up in the morning and before I hear a good morning or hello or how did you sleep, I get, so I've been thinking with the tickets that we should do this thing and then maybe next week we can, and I have to stop it.
And I think those are important questions that should be answered and then we can get to good morning. But it's also, from a financial perspective, if you're touring a show, it's much cheaper to be a couple because we can be put up in one double room. We don't need two rooms.
Yep.
So sleep with your team. That's my
wow.
piece of advice.
Do not attribute that quote to me. I want nothing to do with it. Let's move on. Our next question.
Jellicle JJ.
Jellicle JJ. Hello, Jellicle JJ.
JJ's been amazing. He's been very supportive of our work.
Yes. Jellicle JJ says, is this show very Jellicle, and will there be skin-tight costumes?
So, firstly, I would say this show is very Jellicle. I think Jellicle Diana was an incredibly Jellicle person.
Absolutely.
She really defined everything that Jellicality is. And if you don't know what Jellicle is, well, you should have watched our last production, really. I don't know if that would have helped. So I would definitely say it's Jellicle. And it's also, if you saw our previous show, I think this one has the same tone. But I think it's kind of like Jellicle, but on steroids. Everything is a little bit bigger, bolder, wilder.
That terrifies me.
Yeah. And will there be skin-tight costumes? Well.
Oh, actually. Yeah, there kind of is. There's a lot of costumes. There's a lot of costumes.
Like we had a very good costume in Jellicle. Like we put together quite a good cat's look there. But for this show, we have many costumes. Much of that thanks to our amazing designer, Amy.
Yes. If you think about the amount of iconic looks that Diana had, and how important those were.
Them.
Yeah, not quite. But we've squeezed a few costume changes in there. Looking forward to the audience's reactions to some of them.
Yeah,
it's the highlight of the show for me. A couple of moments when you appear in a costume. But we'll say no more.
You'll find out soon.
Our next question is from Gillian, Hello, Gillian.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for the question. Do you have any tips or tricks for young companies when it comes to marketing? How do you get your name out there as well as Awkward Productions?
I feel like this is a question and a compliment, so thank you.
Thank you.
I think we've just been very persistent. So I think there's a few things. Utilize social media as much as you can, because especially when you're starting out, you may not have connections, etc. But social media is free. And obviously it's awful in many ways, but it can also be great in many ways. And we built so many connections through social media. So I would say have a handle for your company rather than a handle for each show you're doing. Because if you're doing that, you have to change handle for every show. So keep to the same handle, but then update it with whatever show details you're doing. And keep posting a lot. Because as we know, like you post once and then a few hours later, that will be down in the feed. So you need to keep it going and vary your content, keep it engaging, and keep it fun. I think whatever work you're doing, you want your social media to be fun, so people actually want to engage with it.
I think the thing is, marketing is a relentless job, and it can take a very, very long time to reap the rewards of it. You know, we're having things happen for us as a company now, and for you as an individual, based on stuff that you did in 2017. You know, sometimes it just takes a while to come back round again.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, it's a huge amount of work.
And you don't always know what's going to work. Like, sometimes we do memes or things about our shows, and some of them go really well and get loads of interactions, and some of them flop. But I really think, like, that was really funny, come on. But find your brand. Like, whatever show we've been doing, obviously when we're doing cats, we could do loads of things around cats. We're doing Diana, we do loads of things around Diana. Yep. So try and keep it specific to a show. And also, engage with other companies, like share their work, support them, interact with them and their audiences, especially if they have like a similar vibe as you. Because if you support people, they are likely to support you, and it's just much nicer to be in part of like a supportive community anyway.
And look at those companies that you do admire, that you think are really killing it, and see what they're doing, and can you take inspiration from members of that? I'm not suggesting that you copy or plagiarize their work, but you know, there's no such thing as an original idea anymore, especially not on social media. So if you see something you think, that's really cool, I want to utilize that, then take that, do that. And with marketing, obviously, as Linus says, social media is free, and there are ways to do it on the cheap that are quite effective. But you can also only learn with time as well. And
also, don't be afraid of asking. As you mentioned, if you have these companies or people that you think are doing a good job, be like, hello, I saw your show and I thought it was really great. Would you mind tweeting about our show we're doing? Would you mind putting this on your Insta story? Because like people are often more helpful than you think.
Absolutely.
And people, when you approach people saying that they're great, they are often more helpful.
It's a compliment, for sure. Yeah. Thanks, Gillian. Our next question is from Francis. Hi, Francis. You use a lot of tech in your shows, but do you have any tips for first-time producers who are on a budget?
We use a lot of tech, but a lot of it is actually very cheap.
Yeah, which allows us to live in a place like this.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to keep all the money goes to the rent. We've used PowerPoint a lot, and I just studied PowerPoint I just kept on playing with it until I got quite good at it.
I don't think there's anyone at Microsoft that knows more about PowerPoint than Linus does at this point, genuinely.
I mean, that's not true, but certain bits of it I'm very good at now. So I think you'd be surprised how much you can do on a small budget. And I think, I mean, our work is also, I don't want to say deliberately tacky, but there are aspects of our shows where we are very playful, and, you know, for Jellicle we used a lot of like, you know, Comic Sans and quite like those tacky
internet culture based kind of stuff, and
like
transitions,
PowerPoint transitions and those things where like we sort of embrace the low budget in a way. Like with Diana, we have a slightly bigger budget, but we're still doing things like we have certain props that are very much stylized rather than realistic. Yep. Which is just a lot cheaper.
And also, you know, we've got video and audio in the show, but all the video is HD, but it was filmed on iPhones, because camera phones, obviously these days are incredible quality. So it's all filmed on iPhones. The microphone we used during filming was a lapel mic, very much like this one, that then plugged into the iPhone.
And again, I think the main advice again would be to find a partner who can do all those things. Joe is very good with audio.
A partner who freelances in audio production. Yeah.
Joe has recorded like loads of different voices, both for Diana and Jellicle, can do all those things. So just shovel the work onto your
Yep.
partner. and
I'd suggest
hope they still
getting a
love you.
partner who actually calls you by your name, which is Joseph and not Joe.
Oh, wow.
But also, utilize your connections. See who you know. So when we recorded voices for Diana, we recorded it in a radio studio because we had a friend who worked in a radio studio who said, there's some spare time that you can pop in and do a couple of lines of dialogue. You know, find those connections, ask favours of
You
people.
always have more connections than you think you do. And obviously, don't ask people to do work for you for free, but
No.
see what actually is out there for you.
It's always worth a try. Thanks, Francis.
Jack Pico. Hello, Jack.
Hello, Jack Pico.
What happens when an idea comes to mind? Do you get it down immediately, or your notes app's just filled with weird and wacky ideas?
I wish Linus used his notes app for ideas, okay?
I keep it in my head.
It's taken me, we've been together for 8.5 years. We've been making work together since 2017. And it's only in the last few months have I managed to persuade him to put it on digitally. Our flat is full of bits of scrap paper and envelopes, no matter how many notebooks I buy him, just stuff everywhere that has scribbled ideas on it. But what we do now when we have ideas, what we do is we have WhatsApp groups that are just the two of us, and each of those groups is titled whichever idea that it's relevant to at the time. So when we bounce off each other and we have conversations, or one of us has an idea, I do not trust myself to remember these things. I know that I won't. So I stick it down either in a voice note. I'm a big voice note person, or very quickly,
To listen back to.
or very quickly jot it down and stick it in the group.
I normally just type like 1 or 2 words, think like, then I remember that idea, and then I look back and like, what does this mean?
Yeah, no, I also challenge him on those. But yeah, essentially, those WhatsApp groups are full of weird and wacky ideas because the way that we work and create is we'll give each other a suggestion of an idea, but we'll just run with it and run with it and run with it, and it will get way too big and completely unachievable, and we'll come up with all these stupid little ideas. But
we can't do that.
yeah, exactly. Feel like, okay, this is I think the way we kind of do it is we end up almost by accident building the West End version of a show in our minds with everything that we could possibly want ever, and then we filter it back down.
Which I think is quite a good thing, because even like the Diana script was written for multiple people, so it was sort of like, I have this big show, how can I do a big show on a small scale? So I had to like find very creative ways of utilizing the other characters, which meant that we used a lot of multimedia and puppetry, etc. And like, how can we do like a big dance number without having more than one person on stage, etc.
Yeah, think big and then
like how
make
can you
it
do
smaller.
that on a small scale?
Yeah, which is kind of what we're doing. Thanks, Jack. Okay. So the next question is from House Talent. And House Talent.
House Talent sounds good, doesn't it?
Wow, they sound like a very exciting new acting agency, and this might be my new agent. So we have to answer this question carefully.
Okay, professional now. I hope you haven't heard anything we've said so far.
I'm incredibly professional. Thank you very much for putting me on your books. What have been some obstacles you faced while building your own theatre company, and how did you overcome them? Excellent question, genuinely.
Well, you have to say that. I thought it was a bit rubbish, but okay. No.
Are you seeking representation?
No,
Not anymore.
Well, we'll see. I'm very happy with my agent. But anyway, what have been, I think, creating theatre, or probably any kind of art, or anything creative, I think the biggest challenge is always financial. It's always finding the money to create your work, and then making sure enough people come to see your work so it's actually sustainable for you to keep doing it. And that is a big challenge, and there was a real challenge throughout, obviously, the last few years with COVID, and still is, but we've been very lucky with Diana in that the timing of it. First of all, like, Diana is someone people are very interested in anyway, and the timing of it with first the new season of The Crown, and then Charles becoming king, and then Harry releasing a book, it feels like the royals are just at the forefront of people's mind now.
They're really feeding us material. So
yeah,
thanks.
they really are. So we keep on like, ooh, Harry's written this.
We found lots of things in this palace.
So financial, I think, is the main thing, and I think it's something you learn. Yeah. And
I think for me, it's figuring out where to start, because whether you train or not as an actor, as a creative, as a producer, as a director, as anything in this industry, no one tells you, because no one really knows how to create this company and how to make your own work and how to get people to come and see it and how to find venues and how to read a contract and what's acceptable terms, what isn't. How do you place a value, both financial and otherwise, on your own time as a creative? Those kind of obstacles, I think, were things that we didn't have any answers to. So overcoming them was just going, well, we think this will work, so let's try that. As in, just, it sounds insane, but actually, the way that you get booked at a venue to put on a show as a new theatre company is contacting that venue and saying, hi, I'd like to come and do my show here, please.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that.
Making yourself sound good. Like, I feel like in the UK and definitely in Sweden as well, where I'm from, you don't want to make yourself sound good, but actually be like, well, my show is great.
What's the word in Swedish? The way that where you're not allowed to make yourself...
Jantelagen, like the jantel law, that you're not meant to be better than anyone else, which is very much... It's not an actual law, but it's very much like the attitude in Sweden in some ways. I mean, Sweden's a great country, but and equality is a great thing, but when equality is driven to that point, it's sort of like you shouldn't be different, you shouldn't be better than anyone else at anything. It becomes very boring.
But you have to learn to celebrate yourself, and that is a genuine obstacle.
But I also think one of the biggest obstacle actually is also just realizing that you can do it. Because I think when you I used to think of theatre producers and directors and those kind of things like as these people above you, and you were just waiting for them to give you the opportunity. But often they wouldn't see you, and they wouldn't see you because you're not doing things. And and you can just do things. Producing theatre show, putting on your own theatre shows, is like that's just work. That actually, like when you do it, it's easy. It's not easy, and it's a lot of work. But anyone can do it in that way. Like it's just about actually doing the work. There's no like magical reason to just be like, I decided I'm going to do this. And it also gets easier and easier the more you do it, because now we have built up amazing relationships, and it's so nice to come back to places like here, Accidental, and it's just so much easier coming in here saying like Richard and Emma being like hi, and you can just have a nice time from the start rather than having to start off being like we don't know this place.
And there always there always are obstacles. There will always be new obstacles as a company as we go on, but you just learn to overcome them. Oh my God!
We've got a very good question from Emmy.
Hello, Emmy. Where can I get that T-shirt?
Oh, are you talking about mine?
I don't think Emmy's talking about yours. This T-shirt can be purchased either in person at one of our shows, or you can go online. Our socials are at awkwardprods, Prods. Very aware that means something different in Northern Ireland. Or you can go to our link tree, which is linktr.ee, as in Linktree, but with a dot in it, /awkwardprods, and click the merch button, and we will post it to anywhere in the world. We have it in black, we have it in white, we have badges, we have tote bags.
Yeah, but you can get them at our shows. So whether it's here in Belfast, in London, Norwich, Manchester, Penzance, or Edinburgh Fringe, where we'll be this summer.
So get your hands on the merch, please. It's also genuinely really good merch. It's a really nice quality T-shirt. It's very comfortable.
I'm very happy with it. And
thank you so much to Wes, our designer, graphic
designer. He also did the music for the show. I get so happy when I see people wear the shirt. Like, it's so exciting. They're like, you're wearing my stupid face as Diana.
Our next question is from Tom, who says, all your shows seem to be really collaborative. What's it like during the early processing stages? Any fun stories? I think... well, go on.
Oh, no, because it's funny, and I think they really are. And I think that's something... Because all our shows have been solo shows, where I've been performing them on stage on my own. But I think you don't want to risk getting lonely or getting stuck on your own. So, like, it's been amazing working with great people. So I think we've just wanted to really include people's thoughts and opinions from early on.
And we have fun working together. So the fun stories are things like, on a regular basis, we'll make each other laugh until we cry in the flat, coming up with ideas. And then sometimes we'll show those ideas to other people. And they're not quite as funny as they were in our own heads.
We had a rehearsal before we took up the tour in February again, because we had like a few weeks off the show. And we had this thought of like extending one of the scenes with Diana.
Which we thought was hysterical.
So much at it. And Diana would basically like run away from a bar tab, and she'd order 20 Jaeger bombs and stuff. It doesn't really make sense now. It didn't really make sense then either. We did it once in York, and people were a bit like, oh. We were just like, okay, this is just like derail the plot. We're like, okay, we're not doing that again. But we do have a lot of fun coming up with everything. And it's really fun to see what sticks and what doesn't as well.
We've had about 15 people work on this show throughout the whole process, and that collaborative nature is just
And it's amazing, because I think that's just like, it really put us... we've learned so much as performers and just putting on the show as well. Like, we had an amazing choreographer, a designer, a musician, a lighting designer, a puppeteer, and they all come in with their like special skill set, and they just like teach us so much, which has been so much fun.
I'm aware we're coming towards the end of the stream, so we'll answer a couple more questions. Jack, again, hello, Jack Pico again. In September last year, did you worry about continuing with doing the show? Was there a moment where you thought you should probably delay the show for a bit?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we were in Sweden when the news dropped that Charles was going to be king, and there was a moment where we both went, maybe, because the show had been written but not programmed at that point. So
that's not okay. The show had been written and programmed.
And
Like
programmed.
this
Sorry,
entire
not
tour
performed.
was sorted.
Not performed.
But obviously, it hadn't been performed. But it was all there, and we were going to start rehearsals within too long after this news, and it was just like, oh, what do we do now? And we're sort of like, I had a day where I thought, like, you know, when you start hearing voices in your head, it's just like, that kind of day. Most days in my case. Not really. Maybe, you know, when I was just like, every venue is going to call me in the next day and want to cancel the show. Which luckily wasn't the case. And obviously our show isn't about the Queen, even though we include her as a character. And
we made a couple of little script edits.
I looked at the script and like some of them probably needs to change, and some of them, I think quite a few of them actually changed for the better anyway. So I think it was good in that way, and it was also enough time, I think, luckily, because I think had it happened sort of within the first month, it could have been a bit weird. But I think enough time had passed, and the show is also not set in present day. Obviously, like it takes place during the 80s and 90s mostly with Diana, and because after we all like focused on the Queen for a while, the focus went on to Charles, and that really brought both Diana and Charles and Camilla and that triangle up to people's attention again. So actually, I think it just made the show more relevant, which was really interesting.
But yeah, there were some moments where we were a bit eek, but I think it ended up working out for us.
Yeah.
Our final question, next question: what's next for Awkward Productions?
Good question.
Good question. So next after the tour is the Fringe, the Edinburgh Fringe.
So we're taking the Diana show to Edinburgh Fringe for the full month, where we're performing at Pleasantstone, which is very exciting. And we're also bringing back How to Live a Jellicle Life.
Live lessons from the 2019 hit movie musical Cats.
Which will be there for the second half of the Fringe. So it's going to be a very busy month. And then we're going to see, we may try and squeeze a bit more life out of Diana. Oh no, that sounds really dark. I mean, out of the show. I didn't mean to say that. Like I was just talking about it as the show.
We're looking at potentially a little autumn tour. But, you know,
the reception has been so amazing to this show, and we've been able to sell so well in many venues. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to say that, Diana. I love you. I meant the show, and we have quite a few ideas for new shows.
That's the kind of humour you can expect to see from.
I don't know. It's very wholesome.
Yes, we've got a lot of stupid ideas, lots of WhatsApp group chats with ourselves where we're coming up with ideas.
Maybe even a Christmas show, but all in
all in good time.
All in good
I
time.
think the thing, whatever it's going to be, is it's going to be queer and joyful and slightly chaotic.
But you also never know, because when we were doing Jellicle, I was sure I knew what show I was going to do after, and then that was not Diana. So we may very well change depending on what we feel is right and fun at the time, because it's all about what we actually like. When you do a show like this, you know it's going to be a lot of hard work, and you have no idea if there's going to be any money in it at all. So it needs to be something you feel really passionate about.
But the place that you will hear about whatever is coming next is our socials. So if you're not already, you should absolutely go and follow us. So I'll say it again, at AwkwardProds, PRODS, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. We're on TikTok.
Well, we don't use TikTok.
You can watch the Diana trailer on TikTok.
And we do, obviously, like, we tour a lot, so we do shows all over the UK. We do online things as well, and we do a lot of like queer events and stupid things. So do follow us, and that way we can keep you up. And that's also where you can find the beautiful merch.
So watch this space. You'll see what's next. But crucially, what's next for us before anything else is tomorrow and Saturday, 2 performances of Diana, the Untold and Untrue story here at Accidental Theatre in Belfast, including the live stream on the Saturday. And we're that's our latest crazy conversation, is what fun ways we can incorporate the audience from the stream. So if you're going to be joining us for that, then
we're gonna it's gonna be
prepare yourself.
Like a few changes.
It's not going to be just sitting back and relaxing, even if you're at home. We're very much going to get you involved. I think that's it from us.
Thank you so much for all your questions. Thank you for joining us, and thanks to Accidental. And
thanks to King Charles for the access to Buckingham
yeah,
Palace.
thank you, Charles. We are so excited to be in Belfast, and we can't wait to see you at the show tomorrow and Saturday.
Thanks so much. Bye.